I don't know what push box are you?
It's funny, isn't it? Adventists have been in Australia for over 130 years. We have a huge impact on this society through our health and our education work. But after all of that, it's not that society hates us. It's much worse than that. They don't even know we exist. In stark contrast to well-known brands like the Salvation Army or KFC, we've failed to penetrate the public consciousness. But did you know that there are over 6 times as many Seventh-day Adventists in Australia as there are members of the Salvation Army? And Adventists actually have more physical locations in Australia than KFC. So why aren't we a household name like the Salvation Army, KFC, or other major brands? It's simple. The way we present ourselves to the public is confusing. Our branding is inconsistent, incognito, and it's not integrated. The Salvation Army, for example, uses the same bright, easily recognizable logo on everything they do. Us? Take a look at how inconsistent we are. Here are a few of our school signs and logos. Can you see that every logo is different, and some of the schools don't even use the Adventist name? Our healthcare entities also use a variety of different logos, none of which is the Adventist logo. And ADRAP? Well, you guessed it. They have their own logo too. And people have to sort of decode their name to know that there's an Adventist in there. Even local churches don't have a consistent look to their signage. And that's just the beginning. It seems like we're close to having more logos than we have members. Imagine if every McDonald's had a unique name and logo for each of its individual restaurants. Wouldn't work, would it? And yet that's exactly what we're doing. It's not only that our branding is inconsistent, our signs also have a tendency to be incognito. What do I mean by that? Well, they tend to be low to the ground, so they're very hard for passing traffic to see. Often they're parallel to the road, which makes them impossible to view unless you're driving by like this, with your head turned. Well, I don't advise that. Not a good plan. And there's a reason people go to war in these colors. They're so dull, they're almost impossible to see. This all leaves us with a symphony of branding, incognito incoherence. That's why we can do so much, and yet be known so little. And that's all too bad. You know, Ellen White says our churches should be memorials to be seen by our communities. She also says the way we present ourselves has an important impact on the effectiveness of our evangelism. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? But when our signs look like this, well, what does that say about us? We look out of date, out of touch, a whole group of people who just don't care. But we as a church family, working together under the grace of God, we can turn this around.
Morning. Okay, we're working. My name's Kyle Morrison. Good to be with you this morning. Oh, thank you. One person's happy I'm here. The rest of you, I'll be gone soon. You'll be all right. Yeah, my name's Kyle. I work at the conference office. There's a few people here today to check on me, I see. And do you guys know this guy? Have you guys seen that guy before? I found the best photo I could of him online. He was the other day talking to us, and he said, he was talking to the interns actually, and he was talking to the interns about when you're preaching, and he was using the conference strategic plan, and he just reminded them that it's our job to preach Bible-based sermons. So just want to assure you today that I have plenty of Bible verses that back up what I'm saying. Secondly, he said no navel gazing. That's self-indulgent or excessive contemplation of oneself for a single issue at the expense of one of you. Okay, some of you might think that that's a little bit of what's happening today, but I just want to remind you, a famous person once said, check yourself before you wreck yourself. We'd hate to be the church that said, if only I had checked myself, written by the guy that wrecked himself. Okay, so today will just be a little bit different. Now, is there anybody here today who's here for the first time? Nobody, you're all regulars, or you're just too shy to put your hand up. Look, if you are here for the first time today, I do apologize. Just come back next week. Everything will be back to normal. But try your hardest to get something out of this navel gazing today. You are the light of Australia, Let me just open with a word of prayer, and we'll get started. Father, we thank you for this church, for these people, and for their worship that has been lifted up to you this morning, Lord. We ask that you would speak through me and speak to me as well as we look at how it is that we can truly be the light of Australia. Amen. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light so shine before others that they may see your good works, and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Galatians 6:2 also says, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." That one's a little bit not shocking, but that's a little bit different to me. I don't often think of fulfilling the law as carrying one another's burdens. So I wanted to include that. Matthew 22:36-40 says, "Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law?" And Jesus said to him, "You shall" what? You'll warm up, it's okay. And then the second is like it. Read that for me. Okay, on these two commandments hang all of the law and the prophets. So the second greatest law, the second greatest command there apparently, is to love your neighbor as yourself. Christ Object Lessons, page 349, Ellen White says, "Religion and business are not two separate things, they are one." Does that upset anybody here? No? Good. Okay, well, sometimes that does. I just wanted to get that out of the way. The Lord made Daniel and Joseph shrewd managers. He could work through them because they did not live to please their own inclination, but to please God. Religion and business are not two separate things. They're the same thing. What do we have here? A fenced off bit of lawn. When you fence off the bit of lawn, what happens to it? It grows. Is it easy to get grass that looks that good? Can it be expensive? You can just pay for it to look that good. How much work goes into keeping your grass looking that good? A lot. Okay. What do we have here? The average lawn. This is the lawn out the back at John's house. No, this is just down the road from Canberra National there. How much work does it take to keep your grass looking like this? Not much work. Okay. Is that expensive to do that at your house? Not too expensive. You just got to mow it a little bit. So when you go for a picnic, when you're choosing where to go, where are you going to sit? On the right or on the left? Why is that? Okay, these things are pretty self-evident. Luke 19:15 says, "When he returned," that's Jesus, "having received the kingdom, he ordered these servants to whom he had given the money." This is a parable, of course. We assume this is Jesus. He ordered the servants to whom he had given the money to be called to him, that he might know what they had gained by doing business. There's accountability coming. We have a mission as a church. This is the mission of the Worldwide Seventh-day Adventist Church, to make disciples of Jesus Christ who live as his loving witnesses and proclaim to all people the everlasting gospel of the three angels' messages in preparation for his soon return. I have a quiz for you today. Participation welcome. What is the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church? Is it A, building beautiful buildings? Is it B, making the best education system? Is it C, having the best hospitals in Australia? Or is it D, making disciples? Cast your votes. It's actually D. How did you go? Question number 2. The supporting ministries and companies, schools, hospitals, sanitarium, etc. of the Adventist Church exist to A, focus on their own mission, B, support the Adventist Church to achieve its mission, C, distract members from mission, or D, give us something good to argue about. Cast your votes. D, I heard a lot of Ds. Oh, B, okay. Let's check. Yes, it is B. So our mission is to make disciples, be examples, reach everyone with the three angels' message. Why? The second coming. That's the Luke 19:15. The accountability is on the way. So, where is your mission field? Outside, okay. Where is it? Everywhere. Where's our mission field? What's our job as a church, South Canberra Church? To reach the community. Could you say that our job is here, locally? All right. What do they think about you? They don't know us. What else? What do they think of you? Have you ever asked them? Sorry? Think we're strange people. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we went distributing books and some people didn't like the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Well, there's a couple of surveys that have been done, so let me break it down for you. February 2011, 82% of people who responded to this survey were wrong or clueless about who the Adventists were. They're very confused in this survey between Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and general Christians. Adventists versus mainstream Christianity. The results came back. They're 17% positive towards Christianity, towards Adventism, 38% negative, and 45% of people just consider us to be the same as general Christianity. That was February 2011. Thankfully, we've had a more recent survey done. 2 in 3 individuals have never seen any Adventist marketing before. We'll skip along so we don't take too much time. When thinking of the following church denominations, which of the following best describes you? Can you find us on the list? Third from the bottom. So that is 14% of people feel familiar and positive with the Adventist church. That's 43% feel negative, that's not feeling positive, and 43% are unfamiliar. It looks to me as though we have an 86% opportunity to either make a good impression or create an impression from scratch. Do any of these statistics shock you so far? In 2011 to 2022, this is how far we've come. People are 3% less positive about us, they're 5% more negative, but we're 2% more familiar. Well, praise the Lord, we're more familiar. No, unfortunately, the more familiar they are with you, the less they like you. And me. It's not just you. That's a little shocking to me. That's extremely disappointing, in fact, and this has been troubling me for a few years, and I've been looking into this quite deeply. Is sarcasm allowed in church? Just checking, because one of my bosses is in the room. Okay, yes. John said yes, and he has authority, some authority in this church at least. It's questionable authority, but I'm going to take it, John. I've created for you to resolve these issues a 7-step plan. 1, choose your own colours for everything you do. 2, hide behind acronyms wherever possible. 3, create a new logo for every product, program, or idea. 4, take Adventism out of supporting ministry names. 5, don't be seen doing anything positive in public, and when you do, use another logo or acronym. 6, plant new churches that bear no resemblance to the other ones. And 7, present as Christian first and Adventist second. This would be approved by SPDA, UCS, NSW, CCS, ADRA, ELIA, Stormco, SAN. Sano would probably fund it. I wouldn't put it on Faith FM because then people would know about it. Happy with that plan? No. Okay. So, what do you believe the benefit is of the church to the wider community? This is part of that 2022 survey. People say orange line Australia, blue line New Zealand. People say that the church, in general, Christianity, is good for helping people in need. Good thing, bad thing? Good thing. Provides social connection, 50 to 60%. Provides people with hope, 50 to 54%. Provides spiritual guidance, all good things. I think you can safely say from this sermon that more than 50% of the people think that the Christian church is a net positive on society. Would that be safe to say? It's a shame it's not higher, but I think the balance is in our favour. Which of the following do you see as key characteristics of the Adventist church now? Not just mainstream Christianity. What do you think about the Adventist church? What's at the top? Bible believing. Well, that's positive. Half of the people who think churches are positive think that we believe the Bible. It's not a great start, but good. Good that we're Bible believing. Has a service on a Saturday. We're Christian, family friendly, a little bit judgment, inwardly focused. Not accepting, 13%. That's a shame. Welcoming, 14%. Maybe that's the same 14% that thought we were positive. Serves those in need. We get 11%. But the one in bold red troubles me. 0% of people who filled out this survey think that we actually help people, which is strange when you overlap it with 11% think we serve those in need. But it's a little bit troubling that nobody thought to check that box. And I think it should trouble you too. The benefit of the Christian church in society is to help people in need. And we've got somewhere between 0 and 11% of people that think that we're actually doing that. So where is your mission field? It's our community. It's where we live. It's everywhere. And how successful, apparently, are we at doing this? Not very successful. So, my question for you is, where are we on the grass scale? I've added an extra picture just in case you need. There's even some dumpsters in the background. They're not on fire yet, but there's dumpsters there. It's positive that they're not on fire. This is very troubling to me, and I hope it's troubling to you too, because it's actually our responsibility to do something about it. It's not somebody else's responsibility. We can't pay for this problem to go away. 1 Corinthians 13:1 says, "If I could speak all the languages of earth and of angels, but didn't have love, I would be as a noisy gong or clanging cymbals." Why your brand architecture is confused and how to fix it. There's a nice article online. Without a clear brand architecture, you could be operating in chaos, missing opportunities to engage with and sell to customers and maximizing marketing efforts. And remember that accountability is coming for what we've done with that's given to us, and here we are. Here we are. And that's why I played James Standish's video first. James was the communications director for the division, and he was the one that started the ball rolling, or at least got it really, really rolling fast. And praise the Lord, you guys recently installed a new church sign. Congratulations, looks good. But it seems that we do a lot of good things. I don't believe it's true, the 0 to 11% thing. I don't believe it's true. But I believe that we're giving the wrong perception, and we're causing that to be true in their minds. This is a really cool article from Paul Fuhr with Tweed Valley Adventist College, putting Adventist back in the name of their school and the big change that it made. They went from less than 100 students to now more than 400 students this year, and there's a nice big story there. Ernst Steed, May 1972, wrote in Ministry magazine, "It's time someone unmasked the catch cry of those people who interpose in the presentation of present truth by throwing up the objection and saying, 'Remember, we are meant to be showing disinterested benevolence.'" Disinterested benevolence has literally been taken to mean that we should be putting aside or neglecting spiritual ministry, and to emphasize that the major work is to be done in physical, mental, or in social needs. Such people are often convinced that prayer would jeopardize their work, and that if people resent any mention of God or spiritual things, then we should just forget it and stay with the primary task. Prayer or the Bible will not be forced on anyone, but in love, kindness, and understanding, you will see opportunities to present the pearl of great price. Every statement made by Ellen White in reference to disinterested benevolence is an appeal to separate from selfishness, practice sacrifice, have a care for the souls of all men, rich, poor, black or white, bond or free, and in no way can we infer that such a message is an appeal to hide the church's identity or to water down the spiritual emphasis. So this is something that's been talked about for a long time, but it's still an excuse I hear. Matthew 10:32 says, "Whoever acknowledges me before others, I will also acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven." And Ellen White goes on to say, "We are the Seventh-day Adventists, and of this name we are never to be ashamed. As a people, we must take a firm stand for truth and righteousness. Thus we shall glorify God." Are you guys familiar with marketing funnels? No? Some are, some aren't. A marketing funnel is it's like a psychological journey for a customer. And everybody has to start by being aware. If you are not aware, you cannot move to the next stage. Once you're aware, you start to form an opinion. So you heard my name was Kyle, you heard at the conference office, you automatically formed an opinion, but you knew nothing about me. You then have to consider whether or not you want to listen to what this guy has to say. You then are going to develop a preference, the more aware you become. You're then going to start shopping, you're then going to make a purchase. This is a common customer journey for everybody in their minds. And once you understand a marketing funnel, you'll realize you're actually on one every day of the week in everything you do. When you see John Rickson's Prado, you'll realize that you're more and more familiar with how good Toyotas are. And it will begin to influence the way you think, the way you shop, the way you purchase. Christ's method alone is also a marketing funnel. Business and religion are not two separate things, they are one. Christ's method alone will give true success in reaching the people. He spent time with people, mingled with people. As one who desired their good, he showed sympathy for them and ministered to their needs. That's the compassion, right? He then builds influence with them because he's now won their confidence. He then has an opportunity to invite them. He then creates a follower. Do you see how that's a marketing funnel? Because not everybody's going to say yes. But for the people that do say yes, it's their responsibility to go and do what? Spend time with people. So, do we want the right grass or the left grass? We want the right grass. Do we want the Christ method alone, or do we want the 7-step AMC? Not the 7-step. That's good. Anything but that. Another quick quiz question for you. What should the Adventist church do with its brand architecture? A, ignore it. Everything is fine. B, focus on growing subsidiary brands. C, bring everything into alignment. And D, this survey needs a fourth option. Cast your votes. Your membership gives you a voice and a vote. Membership and baptism are not the same thing, but they're sort of two sides of the same coin. And if you choose to be a member of this church, you actually get to influence the direction of this church through your vote, through your voice, through your influence. So if you want to do something about it, please do. I believe I've found Christ's method alone in the church manual. Do you guys have a church library? Yes? You might have a church manual in your church library. And there's another good book there as well. I'm going to read you a quote at the end. It's called Christian Service, and it's like rocket fuel for this topic. But I believe I found it here in this book. God is a God of order, and there's a book that they've written to try and simplify the way that this church should be run for maximum success. It's been going for 170-something years now. They've tried everything under the sun, and they've come up with this. Page 108 now, in the SPD version of the church manual, says that the Adventist Community Services leader, or Dorcas Society leader, is a position that can be found in your personal ministry Sabbath school department of the local church. Do you guys have an Adventist Community Services leader? Okay, we've got a personal ministries leader. Close. So this person gathers and prepares clothing and food, other supplies for those in need, not personally, but maybe they orchestrate it, delegate it for community outreach. They identify needs identification, and then education, community development, things like this. The philosophy is for this to be a holistic ministry. And holistic ministry doesn't just involve spiritual, physical needs. It involves all of your needs, right? So you've got to proclaim the good news. You can't just give somebody a bowl of soup and job done, right? This thing has to be holistic. This is a long topic, and we don't have a lot of time. Let's see how the time is going. 23 minutes out of 30 given. This is a rough history of the brand development. Dorcas Society in 1879. 1895, Ellen White was having Dorcas Society in her house in Cooranbong. There's a record of that. So she was heavily involved. In Australia, from 1961, I'll show you that we were starting to promote Adventist Community Service events. SAWS was the Seventh-day Adventist Welfare Services that eventually became the Seventh-day Adventist World Services, around the same time that Adventist Community Services became the prominent name or way to market the community services of the church. Now, this sort of has to be overlaid a little bit with this. We're getting into the details now. Does anybody like details? Okay, Trish and Bree, thank you for being here. These are the details. Now, I was only 10, 11 years old when this happened, so you guys were probably 12, 13. Yeah. I've been talking with church leaders about this presentation, and I've discovered that this Australian Union Conference, so we are the South New South Wales Conference, we are within a union conference, which is the AUC. The AUC started in what year? Only started in 2000. Before that, Australia was split into two different unions. And the top half of Australia there, you see, has New Zealand with it. And then the bottom and the left half of Australia was a different union. So this was the way it was since 1949. It was a relic of the past that had carried on for a long time. And in the year 2000, they actually restructured entirely to have New Zealand and the islands with the Pacific Union Conference. And then Australian Union Conference was all of Australia. So you understand now, if we go back here and we see these changes around 1999 to 2004, you'll begin to see that some of these decisions are being made by the division, the whole map there, not just by the country. This is all of the ABNs of all of the different names that have been cancelled, registered and cancelled again. And this sort of paints the picture as well. So just to show you, I've got the data. 1963 in Australia, we were offering quit smoking courses as Adventist community service events. In 1966, we were offering a dial-a-prayer service as an Adventist community service. We actually had the General Conference leader for the Seventh-day Adventist World Services travel to Australia. The text is a bit small, so Pastor Burbank went on to explain the relationship between SOARS and the Adventist community services. SOARS is the church's outreach to the developing nations, whereas Adventist Community Services is the church's outreach within the affluent nations. Tell me, are we an affluent nation? Or are we a developing nation? No. Okay, interesting. That was the way it used to be. In 77 in Melbourne, the workers were known for their ability not only to supply physical comfort, but also to answer the cry from the heart. And this recognition has resulted from the projects which they have been involved in. Leaders and members, let me start again. Adventist Community Services has chalked up an enviable record of disinterested acts of kindness, valued and recognized by the leaders of the state emergency services. Is this true, John? Did this ever happen? No, don't know, not sure. Kadina holds a concert. This is a concert for an aged care home that was run under the banner of Adventist Community Services. And this is Prince Charles and Princess Di at the time coming to say thank you to two local church members who were representing Adventist Community Services, who had done an amazing service during the, I think it's the Ash Wednesday fires, this one. The Division Committee Jotting. So this is 1984. The division is here acknowledging that the Seventh-day Adventist World Services is going to change its name. The new name for all of SOARS in the World Church is ADRA. In 1994, Australia is really wise and progressive. And in 1994, when Australia was split into two different unions, they made a decision at the division level. Alwyn P. Salem, he was a lecturer at Avondale University College, and he also worked as a church pastor and travelled quite a bit. They came up with this new concept called AdCare. This was the rebranding of all Adventist Community Services into a new and funky name. AdCare stood for Adventist Community Care, but you won't find that in any of the logos. It's just AdCare. AdCare ran from 94 to about 99, but I've overlaid it there with the church manual, and it looks to me very much the same things. But in any case, it was a new name. In America at the time, they're encouraging you. This is an edition of the Adventist Review saying how to get more involved with ADRA. The best way to get involved with ADRA in America at the time was to get involved with your local Adventist Community Services. Because together, when the local churches are actually doing their part, ADRA then has the resources to draw upon when it needs to do a big emergency relief. AdCare itself was only a concept for Australia and New Zealand, which makes sense when you think about the maps that I showed you. It was something that was taken on by the two Australian unions that included New Zealand. And ADRA to give appeal a global focus. It used to be called the Adventist Appeal. It became the ADRA Appeal. In 1999, the Ad Care was shut down. It was taken over by ADRA Care. And ADRA began to become the main community service initiative of the church in Australia. This was a decision made at the division level. And somebody asked the question in the record there, what will happen to AdCare and Adventist Community Service names? And the response is that we don't have all the answers yet, so we must keep the dialogue open. Here I am opening it up for you all. Let's start this dialogue again. In 99, today on the ADRA Australia website, it says AdCare was transferred from being a department of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, SPD, to become ADRACare, the national program of ADRA. So that's how the transition happened. But we know that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it seems to me like people don't know. They simply don't know how much we care. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, anyone who wants to be first must be last and servant of all. North America is following the church manual more closely. This is one of their Adventist Community Services warehouses. This is one of their disaster response trucks. This is actually Texas, I believe. And they deal with things by the truckload. When the shop sends them some leftover jeans, they send a truckload of jeans. And I've done an interview, you can look on podcast, look for Adventist Community Services, North New South Wales. You'll find a podcast with the guy who decides how many jeans to keep in this factory, how many to send to the other stores. This is their emergency service buckets full of supplies ready for a disaster response. This is their home care trailer. This is their shower and laundry trailer. These are all the different trucks they have around the country. In Canada, that's another story that we don't have time for today. ADRA International commits $150,000 to support Adventist Community Service food pantries, because in North America there is no ADRA locally. There's just a national program that responds internationally. When we were up in Murwillumbah, we wanted to get started on this, so I got a really good deal. Do I like getting deals, Calvin? This one was rusty. Wasn't such a great deal. But we worked on it and we turned it into that. And then we added that. And then we started doing some jobs. We turned the church into the giving agent rather than the op shop simply giving money to people and paying bills. We decided to actually personally respond. So I went to Good Guys and I said, I've got a big shiny orange trailer out the front and we want to get things from you regularly. Can you do us a better deal? They said, yes, we got a cheaper deal. We figured out what the person needed, not what we were told that they wanted. We went and spoke to them and got what they actually needed. And then I took with me 2 Bible workers to help install the washing machine. And then I got a phone call. I was in the yard for half an hour and they were stuck inside making friends. How wonderful. And so we bought some mowers and got donated some mowers and things. And Steve said, let's go and cut the grass of this lady's house. I said, maybe we should deal with the trash first. So when we picked up all the trash, there wasn't so much grass under there. But we turned the front of her house into this. We spent 5 days taking 11 trailer loads of trash away from this place to help this lady who was in need. And for a couple of weeks afterwards, she had people from 2 streets away coming to her house saying, what happened at your house? It's like a bomb went off. And who were those people with the orange trailer? She said, I don't know, but they gave me this book. You have a read and figure it out. So now the neighbour is giving book reports to this lady about what she's reading in Steps to Christ, because that was the book that she was left with, right? After we were gone. And that had a significant impact. There was a guy at a local business who decided he didn't need his Hilux anymore, so he just gave us that. He said he'd do some good stuff with that. There was a lady whose caravan burnt down, and this was like the annex next to it that they helped clean up. There was a lady who was flooded out twice in those Murwillumbah floods, and she was moving. But we were able to do a lot of good work with a big shiny orange trailer, and nobody was guessing as to who was doing the work, right? If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their grass. But Kyle, isn't it easier to just collect money for another agency once a year? Isaiah 6:8 says, "Then I heard a voice from the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send and who will go for us?' And the congregation said," a little bit hesitant. James 1:22 says, "But be doers of the word, not just hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and does not do, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror." And the congregation said, "For he listens to a sermon, goes home, and immediately forgets what the point was." It's a slight adaptation from what Scripture actually says, but I encourage you to read it for yourself. This happened just recently. I want to show you a few quick videos to finish.
So remember when I came a few months ago and cleaned everything up? A lot of people watched it. Almost 100 million.
My God.
A lot of people were commenting that they wanted to put some money together to help you out in certain ways that you may need it. A lot of people were thinking, maybe we can get your deck replaced and get you a nice accessibility ramp to make it easier to get down it, and things like maybe replacing your driveway. So there's not so many cracks in it, and it's a new driveway that's a lot easier for you to walk on. And then a lot of people are wanting to pay for a couple years of landscaping services for you.
Oh my God. Why?
They kind of fell in love with you and your story, and we just wanted to come together as a community to help you out and get you to a better spot.
Oh, Spencer, that's fantastic. Unbelievable.
So I'm going to start a GoFundMe. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start a GoFundMe, and people are going to start donating to it. And then here, maybe once the snow clears up, and we can get some contractors out here and get y'all fixed up.
I'm trying to get somebody out here to tell me what it would cost for that window, and there's another one with a broken window.
Oh, you need some windows replaced too?
Oh gosh, yeah.
We got a lot of people wanting to help you out.
Spencer.
Were you expecting me to come over and tell you that today?
No.
You know how I was setting up that GoFundMe for you? So that was yesterday that I started that. In about 24 hours, over 21,000 people have donated to it.
No. There's no fire here.
There's no fire here, but there's you.
No hurricane. Oh, Spencer.
I wanted to tell you the amount that we've got for you so far. We're going to be able to do a little bit more than just your driveway and your ramp here. Take a deep breath with me. You ready to hear how much?
Yeah.
All right, we raised $550,000 since yesterday.
No. I can't even cry. I can't even think. Oh my God. Oh.
Can I read you some of the messages that people sent you? This is from a girl named Amanda. "You deserve every bit of this money. I hope our donations help to brighten your life. You seem like an absolute sweetheart. I'm grateful to have a chance to help you."
Oh my God.
This one's from Kizzy. "Beth, I pray you get all the help you need. You are loved from all of us. Spencer, thank you for starting this so she can get help."
Oh, are these people from your church?
These are people from across the world.
Wow. I could even buy myself a better car.
Oh yeah, we can get you a better, more accessible car. We can completely remodel your house. We can do whatever you want to with this money. And I've already been talking to an attorney to help you set up a trust so that all the money is protected for you.
Yeah.
And it's used in the right way so that.
I checked this morning, this is about a week ago. They're up to 1.3 million Australian dollars for this lady. And all he did was he showed up, he mowed the grass, and he said, "We just wanted to help." She said, "Nobody's ever been happy to help me before. Why would you want to help me?" It says, "Because we just want to share a bit of love." And you see she's got a walking stick there, and she was really struggling to get down her steps, and all the people that were watching this were like, "Man, this lady needs some more help. Can we donate to this lady?" So he decided to do that. And this is just one guy who donates a bit of time mowing a lawn. But what a shame we as a church don't have enough money to help people. there's an op shop that has autonomy over its money, and it has given us a grant already here in Canberra. We have a trailer already. I have the orange signboard ready to go on it. And as soon as you guys want, you let me know. You can borrow this trailer and do whatever you like. You're welcome to start other ministries. You're welcome to do whatever you like. You guys who are members have a vote. You can decide to do what you like to best represent your church in this community. Ruben's already had a go. It saves a lot of time at the dump. It has this function where it lifts up and things fall out. I can promise you that'll save a lot of time. That's what we needed up north, and we didn't have it. Luke 18:8 says, "But will the Son of Man find faith on the earth when he comes? What is he asking you to do?" We'll have a final song, and then we'll have a prayer. Since we've already gone over time, let me read you. This is just so fun for me, this book. It's like a spanking every morning. Okay. Multitudes leave to institutions and organizations the work of benevolence. They excuse themselves from contact with the world, and their hearts grow cold. They become self-absorbed and unimpressible. Love for God and man dies out of the soul. Christ commits to his followers an individual work, a work that cannot be done by proxy. Ministry to the sick and the poor, the giving of the gospel to the lost, is not to be left to committees or organized charities. Individual responsibility, individual effort, personal sacrifice is the requirement of the gospel. How exciting. That's you and me. Let's have a final song.